Welcome back to the Mental Game of Poker podcast. I'm your host, Jared Tendler, back with another great show. Today, my guest is Chris Moorman, who is the biggest online MTT winner of all time. He has over $11 million in cashes, has 23 Pocket 5 Triple Crowns, and this year he's taken his skills to the live circuit a little bit more and won his first major, the WPT LAPC LA Poker Classic. Now, Chris has a new book coming out, Moorman's Book of Poker, and he shares some insight into what's going to be in the book and some of his process about what it was like to actually write it and get it done, how it came to fruition. And we also talk about a lot of stuff related to his success at the poker table, finding balance in life, how he maintains a really deep enthusiasm and a deep competitive drive for the game. And he also shares some funny stories about dealing with his family around the times of when he went professional. Now, if you haven't already, or if you're new to the show, please subscribe to it on iTunes and rate and review it. And if you have still not gotten the Mental Game of Poker 1 or 2 on audiobook for free, go to jaredtendlerpoker.com/free, and there's information on how you can get it. Without further ado, here is my interview with Chris. Chris, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. You've got a book coming out, Moorman's Book of Poker, and you've mentioned that winning a poker tournament is more important to you than winning money. So I'm guessing that you didn't write this book just for money, considering that it's also a pretty reasonably priced book. So I'm wondering what your motivation was for writing the book.
First off, thanks for having me on the show. But writing the book was never really, to me, about making money. Like, you're not gonna write a poker book and make millions out of it. So that's not what it was all about. It was kind of giving something back to the community. Like, in the past, people have tried to get me to coach them or do videos, and I almost did videos at one point, but I felt like it was giving away too much about my game, and like, obviously you don't want to put your whole game out there when you're going to be playing against these people every day of the week, and it could hurt your bottom line a lot. You're not going to know who's watched the video and who hasn't. But so in the end, I decided not to do that. But writing a book was something that really interested me. Like, when I first started playing poker, I read Dan Harrington's books and obviously Doyle Brunson's Super System, and I found them really interesting. They helped my game a lot. And since then, I've kind of felt that there hasn't been that much poker material out there, like good material. I read Gus Hansen's book, which was pretty good, but other than that, there's been a bit of a void in that area, and I felt like I could, I guess, fill that. So DMB Poker came to me with option to do a book. I discussed various formats for it, and we came up with the idea of doing a co-author kind of thing, where the other guy, he's a semi-professional poker player. He plays a bit, but he's also an author as well. And he plays the hands and talks through what he was thinking, and then I give my opinions on what he's done wrong or what he could do better, kind of thing. And I think it works out really well.
Interesting. And I'm guessing it also helped. I mean, are you a writer? Do you do any writing for yourself, or was the writing side of it kind of like a daunting part of it?
It was very daunting. I've had my own blog in the past and stuff, but really nothing kind of professional. I've maybe written a few poker articles for various magazines, but I'm not some kind of amazing English student. I didn't do English at university. Like, it was definitely tough for me, especially just having to, I think in all I wrote maybe 50 to 60,000 words in the book myself, and just it almost felt like at times it was quite hard. It felt like I was almost back at school, like doing my homework, like in between playing, and it was, it was tough. But once it was all done, I feel like it was really worth it.
That's very cool. Do you feel like you learned more about your game from doing that? I know for myself, writing is a great tool for me to learn, and it's something that I talk about a lot of people, just as far as a way of kind of gaining or like kind of consolidating your thoughts about a particular topic, and then from there you're able to kind of think on a deeper level. Did that happen at all for you?
Yeah, 100%. Because a lot of the time when I'm playing online, and I've got 15, 16 tables up, and you've only got a split sort of second to make a decision, and a lot of decisions are sort of natural to you, but you don't really think through the reasons at the time of why you're doing it. Every reason is just not enough time. So I would see these hands they had shown me, and I'd obviously sit down and think about what I was going to say. And my last thoughts changed quite drastically to my first thoughts kind of things, because obviously you're thinking about it a lot and you know that people are going to be reading this, so you want to do a good job of it, and you don't want people questioning why you did something. So obviously I write down an outline to begin with, and then by the end of it, sometimes it changed quite drastically. So yeah, it was interesting, and I feel like it definitely helped me think about aspects of my game as well.
That's very cool. So perhaps the way that you'll make the most money from this book was already achieved in your game getting stronger.
Maybe, yeah. Hopefully.
So that kind of brings me to my next line of questioning, which is around learning and improving. You mentioned how when you're playing, it's more these sort of instinctual, intuitive reactions and decisions. How do you approach learning? Are you the kind of person that is more about kind of immersing yourself and kind of learning through experience, or are there things that you're doing off the table to really elevate your game?
I think like experience is really important. It's key. Like a lot. I feel like my 8 years of playing really just helps me in certain situations, but you can't just rest on that kind of thing. Like away from the table. Like recently, me and a few of like my good poker player friends, we've just been doing hand history reviews of each other's sort of tournaments, and we just kind of rotate between each person. So you kind of get to see different things that people are doing, and things that work out, and stuff that maybe you hadn't thought about before, and you can kind of combine all like good aspects of my game they can take, and I can take good aspects of theirs, and then we can see like different things that maybe are leaks that we didn't actually think were leaks, because when you're being successful, sometimes you don't see stuff that you're making errors, because everyone's making errors. So yeah, that's been really useful. And then away from that, I try and just like sometimes in bed, I just try and watch some like poker videos of other people when I'm going to sleep and stuff, like just to see what other people are doing. And if sometimes like something strikes me or whatever, and like it's just good to sort of see what other people are doing, and kind of adapt your game around that. Like I would never try and copy or base my game on someone else. I just try and take little bits of other people's games. Like even when I first started, I would speak to people like grinders who played in Scandinavia and Americans and guys from the UK, and I was just trying to take different aspects of their games and put it all into one and kind of develop my own game from that.
Essentially, yeah, I was just going to ask you about kind of how your game evolved kind of in the earlier days. Not necessarily just your game, but your approach to learning in the early days. So you were from the beginning all about like kind of pulling from many different places and having that create your own style. Do you feel like the way in which you learn and work off the table has evolved over the years as well, or is it a similar kind of template from the early days?
I think the early days was kind of like I was sort of largely based on like the Pocket Fives rankings, and I was like, okay, when I get to a certain ranking, I'm gonna like message this guy who's next to me in the rankings and see if he wants to chat hands. I didn't want to I didn't want to be rejected by people like, oh, you're not very good, I don't want to talk to you. So I would like sort of keep moving up, and I was like, oh, now I can like message this guy, and like sort of made sort of a bunch of friends through that kind of thing, just sort of hitting people up and swapping ideas and stuff. And now obviously I've like got those friends in real life and kind of stick to my sort of main sort of 10, 15 guys kind of to like discuss hands with, whereas before it was just like I was like, okay, if I can like win this tournament, then maybe I can talk to this superstar kind of thing.
It was almost like a challenge ladder in a sense, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and how open generally were all the people that you were contacting over the years?
Yeah, really good. Like, because I feel like it was a stage where everyone was kind of learning about poker as well. Like, no one really had the game solved or was just like so far ahead of anyone else. So everyone was keen to sort of exchange ideas and see what everyone else was doing. And I made sure that I wasn't hitting up the sort of best player in the world at the time when I just sort of started playing the $20 rebuy or whatever. So we were kind of players on similar levels, and they were obviously gaining something from me as well. So it was kind of beneficial for everyone. So yeah, like most of the people I hit up like were really helpful.
That's very cool. So there was something I read in an interview that you gave recently, that you were taking breaks a lot more often now because it helps to keep you really fresh and highly motivated. To the point now where you're taking so many breaks that some of your friends joke that you're not playing as much, which obviously is true. But
yeah.
But like, what did you think about breaks in the past that you now have kind of changed your tune?
Yeah, in the past I would sort of laugh at people who take breaks. I'd be like, you're just you're a weak person. You don't need to take a break. Like, you've had a bad few days. You need to get back on the horse. Like, you just need to keep hitting register until like you sort of turn it around, kind of thing. And like, I was just kind of all about poker, and maybe definitely got too involved in the game. I almost became like addicted, just trying to be the best, like, and sort of let other areas of my life slip. Like, I sort of got out of shape, and I was just maybe spending too much time indoors and stuff. And yeah, like, especially in England, it was very tough because the hours of play, like, I'd be playing all through the night. So then in the daytime, I'd obviously want to sleep, and then when I wake up, there was more tournaments going, and it was like, oh, do I play these tournaments? Or like, unless I had like really sort of good plans, I would never really just sort of sit there and just chill one night and sort of watch a film or something. I'd be like, oh, had got the opportunities to sort of make money and like go up the rankings or whatever. Like, I kind of became a bit too obsessed with poker. But then the past few years, sort of, I realized that that wasn't making me completely happy, and I needed to change some things. And I sort of hit up Jason Kuhn, who like got me sort of training and into shape. And then obviously I had maybe more confidence to go out and meet new people. And kind of poker. I was still obviously love poker and like enjoy playing, but I didn't need to play on a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday night kind of thing. Like, I was more playing the big tournaments and just playing when I really wanted to play, and doing other things, and just really enjoying life.
In retrospect, would you have done anything differently? I mean, obviously you now know the value of taking that time off, but you sort of earned that because of how much experience and how much success that you've had. Like, do you think it was necessary to be that consumed by poker, or do you think you could have found some healthier balance back then?
I don't know. Well, the thing was, like, I was at university, I was doing an economics degree, and although I got my degree, it wasn't like a very high standard one, so I was going to struggle to really get a good job. And the last sort of year, I really got into poker and had started doing well. And it was like, at first I was just playing my friends, and then I never thought I'd sort of make serious money out of it. But then it's kind of like started going well, and I was just coming immersed in the game and just started getting a lot better. And obviously back then everyone was pretty terrible as well, so it was a lot easier. And I sort of told my parents that I was going to try playing poker for 6 months or so rather than get a real job, and they were obviously pretty skeptical to begin with. And my dad sort of took down all the money. Like, I'd made a bit of money, so I had money in the bank a little bit, and he like wrote down what I had, and he made me pay off my student loans. And then he was like, okay, so I know exactly what you have, and then come back to me in 6 months, and if you sort of made enough where you can sort of live on and have like a decent life, then I'll support you, and we'll go from there, and we'll just sort of evaluate every 6 months and see what's going on. So that 6 months, like, I knew basically like this was my only real shot at it. Like, if I failed, I knew that he wouldn't really, I was just going to have to give it up, really, because he wouldn't really support that. And I respected his decision. Like, it was obviously not easy for him, sort of me coming to him out of the blue. He didn't even know I played a hand of poker before. So, right. Like, me telling him that, like, so I just kind of immersed myself in the game, and like, my friends would be going out on a Friday night, and I'd sort of be staying in and playing poker, and like playing the people who came home drunk and stuff, and taking their money. And like, I came back to him in 6 months, and I'd done really well, and he was like, "Oh, you need to teach me this game."
And then he ended up winning an MTT, right?
Yeah, he won. They have the tour, but it's not as big as it used to be. It's the Grosvenor UK Poker Tour, and it's like a £1,000 buy-in. But back then, I guess it was nearly 1 to 2, so it was maybe like nearly $2,000 buy-in. And I'd been in Australia for a few months, just sort of traveling, and hadn't got him anything for his birthday. I came back like a few weeks after his birthday, and I was like, well, sorry it's a bit late, but what do you really want? And he's always like, oh, I don't know, kind of thing. So I was like, well, how about there's this tournament coming up in Manchester, which was like a 4 or 5 hour drive from our house. How about I'm going to go and play it? Like, it's on the weekend. How about we both go up and play it together, and I'll buy you in, and like, no pressure, like, because he'd been playing a little bit. Like, obviously he started learning the game a bit because he wanted to support me and know what was going on when he was watching me. So he'd been playing a little bit, but he'd only played like one £10 tournament at the casino, but he'd been playing a bit online. So I was like, how about you come and play the tournament with me, and we just sort of have fun, sort of father and son bonding weekend kind of thing, and no pressure, like, I'm not expecting to win it or anything. And we both played the tournament, and after the first day, I think there was like 400 or 500 people in it. After the first day, maybe like 70 or 80 left, and we were both in the top 10 in chip count. See, I had slightly more chips than him, and I ended up bubbling in the tournament, and he just ended up winning the whole thing. It was crazy.
Best present you've ever given him.
Yeah, it was really emotional as well, because like I actually felt more pressure watching than like playing in that situation, because it was completely out of my control, and he was still doing some kind of amateur things. Like sometimes he would it would fold to him, and obviously blind on blind you're going to be shoving a lot, and he would just go all in, but he'd push all his chips over into the middle, and then the guy would fold, and then he'd have to spend the next 5 minutes picking them all up, and then he'd do it again. I was like, you don't need to do that like Phil Hellmuth style, push it all in. You can just stay all in and put a big chip in or something.
Did he just really love doing like pushing his chips in the middle?
Yeah, he just liked the power play.
Yeah.
And he liked to, when he picked up his cards as well, he would pick them right up to kind of his face. I'd be like, no, you can't do that. Like, just keep on the rail. They be able to see your cards. Yeah,
that's fun, good stuff. That's good stuff. So 6 months after he gives you the first window of time, you've obviously had no opportunity to have balance in your life then. He gives you another leash, saying that he wants to start playing. Did the 6 month thing go on, or was he kind of convinced at that point?
He was like, definitely, he wasn't like any sort of set times after that, but he definitely was still checking up. But like, he could see that I was doing well. Like, he saw that I sort of was moving up the rankings. He followed that, and then like I was on maybe a few like did interviews with UK magazines and stuff, which was like actually really crucial for like helping my mum. She doesn't really understand poker now, to be honest, but like at first she was really skeptical. She was sending me like cutouts from the newspaper with with jobs that I needed to apply for like every few months, and saying, have you grown out of that phase yet? And I'd be like, no, Mum, it's not a phase. She was like, well, you wanted to be a professional footballer. I was like, well, every kid does, but like, but her, like, I'd send the magazines home to her, and like, I guess to her, she could see that I was maybe doing well, because she'd be like, well, why are they featuring him in this magazine if he's losing? So he must be doing okay, kind of thing. So that was quite good for like my mum to sort of get to start improving her poker.
That's cool. And so your family was kind of always involved in games, and I understand you were a really successful and competitive pool player and bridge player growing up. So your father obviously kind of knew the way of like climbing up rankings. He could see the writings on the walls. I mean, how much do you think that experience competing earlier in your life prepared you for poker?
A lot. I think like we were just as kids, we were always playing card games, just family card games and just games, and like we had like a big back garden, so everyone would always come over and we'd like play sports and football in the back garden and stuff. And it's just an environment that I always grew up in, and just like I just always like from like a young age, I just always loved that winning feeling, and just like trying to do the best that I could. And like it first started off, I guess, competitively with bridge. I started, like, my parents both played, and they kind of convinced me to play, even though I was very skeptical at first. I was like, well, only old people play this game. I don't want to play this game, kind of thing. But they like almost, I wouldn't say bullied me, but they kept going on about it. So I was like, I'll give it a try. And then actually, like, you play in partners, and the guy I regularly played with, he was similar age to me, so I made like a good friend for him at the time, and like we had a bit of fun, even though we were playing against like old ladies and old men. But yeah, it was fun, and like there wasn't like that many young people playing, so like you moved up quite fast. Like I actually ended up playing for like the England under 21 team and stuff, maybe when I was like 15, 16. But there obviously wasn't a ton of competition like in bridge, but yeah, like they had rankings in that. You collected points every time you did well, and like you got new ranking like county master and stuff like that. So it was kind of I like that aspect of it. And then I guess I don't know, like at a certain age, I kind of just grew out of it. It wasn't like you couldn't make money from it and stuff. I don't know, like I was getting to that age where I was like, well, what does this really get for me? Like takes all night, and like I'm not really. It's fun, but it's not like super fun. So I kind of like stopped playing bridge, and my dad was really mad actually at that time when I stopped playing bridge. He was like, you're really good, like you can be like great, and I was like, oh, it's all right, but I just didn't love the game, kind of thing.
So what was it about poker that first really drew you to it?
I guess like, well, actually I was like at university, and we were coming back from a pool trip. We'd just been playing the National University Championships, and we're like on the minibus home, and one of my friends saw it in the student paper about this poker tournament online that, you know, it was free to enter, and you could win money, and we were all broke students, so like we were like, oh, that sounds fun. And it was like on a Monday night, and Monday night was pretty much the quietest night at uni, so we weren't really going out that night, so we were like, okay, well, let's all just sort of go on this site, and we all play, like all 5 of us who lived together, and we played in this tournament. We didn't really know what we were doing. We read up the rules, and we were just sort of clicking buttons basically, and we played that every week, and it was free to enter, so we weren't gamblers. We were our main thing, we were like, we can't be gamblers. None of us deposit. We were like making a pact. Don't become that guy. And so yeah, one week I like played it, and I guess I must have just got really good cards. So I definitely didn't have a clue what I was doing really, and I ended up coming second. And it was kind of a bit frustrating because first place got a seat in this live tournament in London and could win like pretty big money. But second place still, like, I don't know, I guess I cashed for like $200. And I was like, oh, well, I might as well just sort of play around with $200 at the real tables now and see what happens. Like, it's not enough money where I'm going to like have to cash it out. It's no big deal if I lose it, whatever. So I started playing online from there kind of thing, and almost ran it down to zero, and then some, and I really wasn't going to deposit. So like, I don't know what would happen then kind of thing. I might have found the game like later in life or whatever, but yeah, I ran it down to like maybe like $20 just through playing cash games and doing stupid stuff like going all in every hand, just because I was like, oh, it works every time, like I'm winning the blind. And then obviously it works every time but one, and they'd find a good hand, they'd win, and I'd be like, damn, how do they always find a good hand? But I wouldn't think about the 20 times before where I just won the blinds. But so yeah, I ran it down to like $15-20, and I was like, well, I'll go back to these sit and go things. I was doing all right at them kind of thing, and I had a vague kind of strategy for them, and I played like a $15 one of them, which was bigger than I'd ever played of that before, and I won it. And then I was like, okay, no more cash games for a while.
Wow. So was it the thrill of the action? Like, did you like the strategy? Like how did you really kind of like get immersed into it? Like, what was that next point?
I guess like we were playing home games as well. We like my best friend at uni, he set up the a poker club that hadn't sort of been founded before at the university. So like we were sort of founding members of that as well. And so we'd go to the poker club every week, and everyone was sort of getting into it. Like it was getting quite big, and everyone was sort of dabbling a bit online, and there was a bit of a buzz around it. And like, yeah, everyone was sort of going, oh, I won this or won that. So it's like almost like a competition again. And like we're getting into it, and I was having some good results, and I was reading some stuff. I was just Googling everything, trying to find any information I could. And they had different bonuses I was working off. So I was just gradually making a little bit of money, and like being, you know, broke student, I just decided that like, yeah, this was cool. And then I guess in my second year of university, I was doing a 3-year course, and I was supposed to go home for the summer and get a job, just sort of a basic job in a supermarket kind of thing. And I sort of worked out that I could probably make about the same amount, maybe a little bit more, just playing poker that summer. And I was like, well, that'd be a lot more fun kind of thing. So me and my friend, we both decided to do that. But I knew my mum would just not go for it at all. So I had to tell her that I got a job locally and I wouldn't be able to come home. So I was telling her I was working in this store, and she'd ask me questions about the store. I made up this guy called Adam. He was like my best friend. I would tell her funny stuff that Adam did at the store every day. It was pretty bad. But yeah, that summer I just was playing a lot of poker, and started getting like a much better, and I actually did like far better than I predicted I would do. And I moved up the States quite a lot, just I guess because I was playing every day for like 3 months, and yeah, did much better than I thought I was going to do, and yeah, went from there really.
That's amazing, and thank God your mother decided to never go to the store.
Yes, well, when I went home, she'd always ask me like, "Have you got your staff discount card yet?" I'd be like, "Oh, damn, I left it in university." She was like, "Oh, you're so forgetful."
That's awesome. So, what keeps you driven today? I mean, I've heard you talk about how important longevity is for you. Like, do you feel like you want to have a career that just kind of stands the test over the long term?
Yeah, like I look up to sort of people like Doyle Brunson and stuff who've just been around forever and just been successful through different generations. And like I guess poker for me, it's just I'll just keep doing it until I don't find it fun and challenging anymore. And like that day might be 5 years, might be 10 years, it might be like 2 years. I don't know really. Like at the moment, I'm still really enjoying it. Like obviously, you don't quite have that same buzz as when you first start playing, and you know you have your first tournament win and stuff like that. But still, like I'm really excited. Like I was playing all the WPT, and it was quite a grind by the end, like 3 weeks in a row every day. And then I took a week off, went to Florida before coming to England the other day for the EPT and stuff. And even though I'd been on a 10-hour flight and changeover and stuff and got in at 3 p.m. after not sleeping much, Sunday was just dying. And I was like, no way I'm sitting this out kind of thing. I'd played like a million Sundays before, but I was like really, really up for it. And like my tiredness instantly went away and the adrenaline sort of kicked in and I was fine, you know.
That's cool. And it sounds like making live poker a bigger priority has been something that's happened for you recently. I know that you clearly didn't have as much live success as you had online success until winning the LAPC earlier this year. Like, what has that done for your mindset and your approach to live tournaments? Has it kind of allowed you to relax a little bit more, or do you feel like it's just kind of driven you even more?
Well, you just can't beat that winning feeling live. Like I'd been close a couple of times before in like huge tournaments as well. So like to get so close was like amazing, but like really frustrating at the same time. And like obviously winning big money kind of softens the blow, but that competitive spirit in me was just like, wow, I wonder what it's like to be that last guy standing at the table and like do all the winners' interviews and just like, I don't know, just like winning a tournament online is great, but like sometimes, you know, you win the tournament and then you're just sitting there at like 5 a.m., especially in the UK, and like, oh wow, now what do? I guess I go to sleep? I don't know, you know, and then you can't really sleep. But like, I was always like, oh, I can't wait to win a live tournament. I mean, I'd seen my dad do it and many years before, and I was like, yeah, one day I wanna win one of those things. So yeah, to finally get that marquee kind of win was amazing. Even though like in the past I've had good years where I had 2 big second places and stuff, but just even though for me, like winning a tournament for less money than you get for second place is much more sort of exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. So, do you plan on playing more live events? Like you've got obviously the EPT coming up. Will you head out to for more EPTs to Australia for the Aussie Millions, the PCA? What do you foresee?
Yeah, like I'm kind of weird with live poker. I like live poker. I'm really excited for, and then if I play a couple of tournaments, it kind of, I don't know, it takes it out of me. Like I can't, like online I'll just play everything. Like I don't care what the buy-in is. I'm in it kind of thing. Whereas live, I'm like, okay, like I'll play the main event, maybe like one side event or whatever, and then I'm like, okay, like I'm good. I'd rather play online for a bit now, kind of thing. Like it's like quite mentally draining. Like if you play for like 3 days and then you bubble or you sort of come like 15th, it takes it out of you. It's hard just to like go, okay, I'm reg and like start playing another live tournament 2 days later. Like I find that quite hard and all the traveling. So like I will be playing tournaments. Like I'm playing the EPT and I'm playing there's a small UK IPT actually tomorrow that I'm going to play. Before that, it's kind of a warm up, and then from there I'm playing a WPT in South Africa in November, and then EPT in Prague in December. But like kind of more like one event a month kind of thing, and then obviously the World Series. And yeah, I'm just kind of not really saying I have to play this tournament. I'm just kind of working out a schedule of where I want to go, what places I want to see, and then if there's a poker tournament there, then great, kind of thing.
So for you, it's more like overall you want to feel challenged and you understand the realities of variance in live poker, and so if you're not kind of having that opportunity to get a chance to win, it's just not as exciting as being online and being able to kind of control the variance with volume.
Yeah, like I mean, to me, like if someone told me I was going to win the next live tournament, obviously I'd be straight there, kind of thing. But like most of the most of the time in poker tournaments, you just don't win. You have to like don't care who you are. Well, maybe not if you're Dan Coleman, but yeah, like so I guess I just don't. I don't know. Like online's just a bigger focus for me. Like I'll play live when I'm sort of like when I'm getting a bit bored of the online grind, but I'm never going to be that guy who's sort of playing every live tournament and playing 1 week in Europe, next week in America, back to Europe, kind of thing, like just traveling the whole circuit. It's just, I guess it's just a bit too grueling for me. And live poker kind of takes it out of me.
Right, so it really is that your love of winning is what really drives you at its core, at your core.
Yeah, like it's tough to like play for 4 or 5 days and then not win. Like at least if you play 4 or 5 days online, you're probably going to win something or like come close to winning something. So I don't know, it's better for morale.
So in that regard, like poker is really like a sport for you, you know. And
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, very cool, Chris. It's been incredible what you've been able to achieve, and it's cool to hear that you're as motivated as ever to keep achieving more. I wish you really well with the book. It sounds great, and thanks again for coming on today.
Okay, thanks for having me on the show. It's been great.
Thanks again to Chris for coming on the show today. It was really enjoyable to speak with him. Now, if you want to pick up a copy of his new book, I believe it's going to be out November 7th in the U.S. and I think worldwide. But there is more information about where you can pick up a copy and to get excerpts at DNB Poker. It's DANDB Poker.com, as well as at chrismoorman.com. And I'm sure you can also get information from his Twitter, which is at Moorman1. That is it for today's show. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll be back real soon with another episode. And until next time, I wish you all very well.